My friends, welcome to episode 128 of Prof and Dev Play Games. I'm the Professor Larry at Prof Plays Games on Twitter, and over there is Anthony, the Dev at Summer Speak. You are enjoying some porno this weekend.
Oh yes, totally.
Yeah,
saw some porno live.
That's an amazing thing to see live. I mean, I actually have seen porno live, and I just it's not as fun as you think. Yeah,
unfortunately, Seattle does have a yearly porn film fest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, The Stranger puts it on.
That's interesting.
They've done it since I was in college was the first one. Mm-hmm. I've never gone. I've known people that have gone, and they said it is ridiculous, as you would expect.
Yeah, of course.
And insane, and you can't take any of it seriously. So yeah, no, that what I saw was not anything actually porn. It was just the live show of this podcast called My Dad Wrote a Porno, and it's a British podcast where the son reads the erotic novel that his dad wrote.
Oh my god. It's
terrible and it's hilarious, and it got super popular. Like, they just started doing it, but it's really popular enough that they're touring in the US. But they've had like big stars on the show with them. Like Elijah Wood has done an episode with them.
What is he doing? Like, they just responding
yes. He's just there. He's just like, he's on the phone. He's like, all right, let's do this. They've had Michael Sheen, who's another British actor. They had Daisy Ridley, Ray from She was actually recorded with them in London, like came to their little studio, and like a lot of people listen to this thing and love to react to really, really poorly written erotic fiction.
How did your wife get into this podcast?
I don't know how she found it, but she did. I mean, she found it like 5-6 months ago, tops. And then she just binged it.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to starting it off and seeing what it's like.
that was yesterday. That and seeing Black Panther, finally.
Oh, yeah. Was it good?
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Awesome.
Whenever you see reviews that say this is like the Marvel Cinematic Universe's like first Shakespearean epic, it is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
It feels a lot like that, of like this mix of Shakespearean tragedy tossed in. Like, it hits the right notes. It's pretty incredible.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to that and Star Wars both coming to something I can watch on my living room TV.
Star Wars will be out in a couple weeks digitally.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
It's March.
So
it's like March 4th or March 7th. Mm-hmm. It's on all the digital stuff.
Awesome. So. That's what I'm definitely going to watch it then, so I can stop avoiding spoilers, because I would like to know what happened. But yeah, this is a podcast about video games. We're going to talk about the DICE Awards and talk a little bit about Phil Spencer's remarks. I guess he was the keynote.
Yes, it was the keynote
for DICE. Yeah. And then we'll talk about Chrono Trigger, continuing our playthrough. We're aiming for playing 2 hours. I played like 3, I think.
I think I came around 3 as well.
Yeah.
So.
You got to an ending that I didn't get to yet, but it's fine.
Yeah, this is the part of the game where you can kind of take different paths.
Yeah.
And they all interweave and meet back up. But
right. And then we'll talk about what we're playing besides that game.
Yeah.
So DICE Awards happened, I think they were in Vegas.
They're always in Vegas.
Okay. They were hosted by Greg Miller and Jessica Chobot, and people won some awards. And I don't think there were too many awards that were surprising, right?
No, let's just call it the Breath of the Wild Awards. Again.
Well,
it's another award show. And
2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4.
It just cleans up.
Let's
just be honest. It's cleaning up.
Adventure Game of the Year, Outstanding Achievement in Game Design, Outstanding Achievement in Game Direction, and then, of course, GOTY.
Yep. But, I mean, actually, this fit pretty well with most of the other awards. Outstanding Achievement in Character went to Hellblade again. So that one's cleaned up, I think, through most of those awards for, like, best performance, things like that. And Cuphead won a few awards.
Art direction, animation. I was happy to see that Snipper Clips won 2 awards.
Yeah, Family Game. I could see Family Game.
Yeah. Family Game and DICE Spirit Award, which I guess is something they liked a lot. I guess I don't know. Amorphous category. Metroid won, which was nice.
Yeah, deserved for that was mobile game, handheld game.
Yeah. Handheld game, because mobile game was Fire Emblem.
Yeah, they actually DICE is nice. They split those out.
Nintendo kind of crushed it. it's Mario Odyssey, it's Breath of the Wild, it's Snipper Clips, it's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Metroid, and Fire Emblem Heroes. That's a lot of Nintendo.
Nintendo, well, let's just be honest, Nintendo cleaned up last year.
Yeah, they had a good year last year.
They had a very strong year. Really, there wasn't to hear like a ton of stuff that I'm like, oh, that's weird. PUBG winning Best Action Game, kind of weird overall, but not shocking as an industry award because of how much it's changing the industry.
Right.
So, kind of feel like that fits. I'm not shocked. Really, when it's role-playing game of the year, yeah, Nier won it here, but pretty much, I would say 4 to those 5 games would... No, actually 3 of those 5 would probably be neck and neck. Original Sin 2, Nier, and Persona 5.
Right.
The other 2 aren't bad. I just don't think they hit the highs that those first 3 hit.
Right. Yeah, and it's just the buzz on all 3 of those games last year. Like, people would just not shut up about those 3 games. Because I've only played parts of 2 of them, but I know Divinity Original Sin is also just something that I think we're both excited to try later this year.
Yeah. That'll be a good one we can do
or something.
As a when we finish Chrono Trigger. We'll see how long it takes us to get through the rest of Chrono Trigger. Sometime whenever we want to do a co-op through.
I would love to play that game together. That'd be so much fun.
Your kid will be older then. It'll be maybe a little easier.
Yeah, the sleeping right now is getting a little more regular.
Yeah.
We're hitting a few snags, but for the most, if you pull back and look at like the macro, it's definitely hitting a nice pattern. The micro, every once in a while, is just like, whoa, this
The micro is always terrible.
Yeah.
It always will just go through patches of just terrible.
Yep.
But it typically always improves, and you can get sleep again.
Yep. And we're doing this only once. That's how we get through it. We're like, this is our last and only 7th month.
It's true.
Yeah. So,
I mean that's the thing where I definitely have the, we had 2. We got to a certain point and we're like, okay, if we're going to have a second one, we do it now.
Yeah.
Because it resets everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then it was like, okay, and we're done. Done. Because I feel really bad. I can't imagine how hard it is to like wait until the first kid is like 6 or 7. And then having to go through this again. I'm like, just do it all at once and like,
exactly.
Let's just get this done.
Yeah, before you're out of it and like, wow, it's a lot better now. Like, just you have your second kid then, or just don't. Yeah. So obviously we're not having a second kid, but we're very happy with the kid we have, and everything's going pretty darn well. So
that's great.
Just a little sleep now and then, getting lost.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll be able to dig into DOS 2 later in the year. Yeah. There's just so much to it that I don't know how we're going to attack that, but we'll give it our best try.
Yeah. But the big thing out of DICE, I think, that I saw, like the awards actually were pretty low key online. People are like, yep, Breath of the Wild won, thumbs up.
Right.
But Phil Spencer had a pretty strong keynote.
He kind of laid it out like, here's how we fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not really, I mean, he's definitely owning it himself, even though he wasn't completely involved in 4 years ago. Like, that big management team that screwed up the entire launch of Xbox One really isn't there anymore.
Right.
Like,
for a good reason.
Yeah, I mean, they cut their losses and run and got their $50 million golden parachutes. So There you go. Failed upward. And he was just left with this kind of a wreck of a division.
Well, and just the morale was so low, and like they weren't proud of what they were doing, and they were just getting eviscerated by everybody everywhere, and that definitely took a toll on them.
Yeah. And he was pretty humble about that whole thing. Taking some losses does that, I will say. Makes you reevaluate, and kind of stuff he was saying was really good on like trying to change company culture. Specifically with him changing company culture within the Xbox studio, the games division. But overall, it sounds like Microsoft is trying to do a big, larger cultural shift to be more diverse, focus on diversity, get back to making things that like people want, and not just what a monolithic culture of Microsoft wants. Like, that's why diversity is important. It's because they can then learn, there's a lot of other important things to people. Maybe we should be focusing on that. So it was interesting to listen to him talk about trying to get back to that and how long it takes to change something like that. Because I assume they're still in the middle of it, honestly.
Well, I'm thinking about the culture at my college, and there's a very specific culture that a lot of people want to change and have been wanting to change since I came to this college about a decade ago. Yeah. It's still not changed.
No, I mean,
it's hard.
And think about, how many employees is Microsoft? 100,000? Something like that?
That's what the story here says, 100,000 for the team they were trying to undertake.
Yeah, I mean, that's
the change. With
one of those things where you're just like, okay, I'm trying to see, 124,000 employees worldwide. Right. Changing a ship that big and culture will take a decade or more.
And you're going to shed people as you're doing it. The people who do not want to change.
Yep. When you talk about changing culture, like, I've seen it at a company of a couple hundred people, and it was near impossible.
Yep.
And it was painful constantly. It's not a fun process. It's not an easy process. It's good that he was talking about that they've recognized that it has to happen, though, for them to be relevant.
Well, I love how forthright he was in this talk. Like, this is just like laying it bare. Like, yeah, it was as bad as you thought it was, and we've been trying, since he's taken over, I've been doing a good job trying to at least give gamers what they wanted with the Xbox.
They're just trying to right the ship more than anything now. But there's so much debt that they have to pay that I personally probably would write them off for this console cycle overall.
Yeah, right.
This isn't a thing where they come back and in this generation tied with the PS4.
Right, which is what the PS3 did. It started off slow, but it tied. Yeah,
it did, and it just didn't start off the slow. And Sony doubled down into getting out high quality game, really invested in their first party stuff. But they were doing that at the beginning of PS3 launch, so that they had games coming out 3-4 years into the PS3 cycle to start drawing people into PS3. They what was the main reason? I mean, Blu-ray finally caught on. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I have a PS3. I have a Blu-ray player. Awesome. If I'm going to get a Blu-ray player, might as well be a PS3.
Because it was a similar price structure, I thought. With the Blu-ray player.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that made the PS3 unattractive at launch, being expensive because of the Blu-ray player, that made it very attractive 3 to 4 years into the cycle.
Yeah.
I don't think there's that with the Xbox One.
No, it's like the 4K disc player, but most people are streaming anyways now. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is we're not talking about people having physical media as much anymore. So
right. For me, the only thing is that I just keep thinking, because I sold my Xbox for $160 along with my PS4 to trade for a PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
And I thought, I bet you this $160 that I'm getting back right now, I'd be able to get an Xbox One S during a Black Friday sale for that price or lower.
Yeah.
Eventually, I don't know when, but just because my library, I have a pretty sizable Xbox library of games that I want to have access to eventually. I think I'll probably jump back in eventually just to not so much the new games that are coming out, because I think I can play most of those on the PC, but there are some 360 games and some Xbox One games that I don't think I'll be able to play on the PC. So I don't want to leave those to the dustbin of history. Forever.
It totally makes sense. It's just one of those things where it's just probably pick up a 1S or a Scorpio when they drop in price much later, and just be just have one at the end there. But I've also felt like this keynote was a way of showing that they aren't giving up on the console market. This cycle may be somewhat lost, but they are going to invest in a future of the console development at Microsoft.
Right.
Which, I mean, they could have cut and run at this point, honestly. New management at Microsoft that came in a few years ago, the whole thing, reevaluating the business overall of Microsoft could easily been you know what? The 360 stuff did great for us, but we have really not doing well here anymore. Let's just cut this entire division.
But instead, by promoting Phil Spencer, it seems like they're saying, yes, this is a really important part of what we're doing.
Yeah, it feels like they're saying this is a legitimate part of our business that we want to continue investing in, which is good. Competition is great, because I really hate to see Microsoft drop out and it really just be Sony and Nintendo.
I think.
And Nintendo wouldn't be competing against Sony, really.
Exactly. So without competition, Sony wouldn't be doing good stuff, I think.
No. We'd get another PS3 debacle at the beginning.
Right. Well, think about what the competition is doing to Xbox right now. Like the Game Pass thing sounds really awesome. Like if that was on PC, I'd probably jump in on that because $10 a month and you get all the new games. Yeah. You know, eventually when they do have new games coming out, like Sea of Thieves, you can pay $60 or pay $10 a month to play it. You know?
Yeah. No, it's they have a lot of great stuff that they're just trying to. And right now, I feel like it's just to tread water. Like, let's not sink any lower. Let's just get this division stabilized, which is great, and it needs to happen. And it was interesting to hear someone at Phil Spencer's level just honestly talk about that.
Right.
Acknowledge that, there are problems. We are working very hard at fixing it and internally improving our culture and morale. And then he turned it on gamers themselves.
The biting comments about toxic gamers.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I didn't quite hear what he had said. Did you get a quote?
Not completely. Like, I just got the gist of that there was a lot of toxicity internal in the company culture, but that can also born into the gaming culture as a whole.
Right.
And companies in general just need to be better about policing that and trying to crack down on toxic player behavior.
Yeah, he's totally right.
And it's true. Again, it's not an easy problem to solve because if it was, a lot of these companies would have solved it already, especially some of these big free-to-play games. Let's talk about League of Legends. Like, it has horrible toxicity, and they've also invested huge amounts of money for the past, 5+ years. Maybe even 6. How long has that game been out? It's been out for a while. But they've invested in it for a long time trying to fight toxicity, like bringing in PhD level psychologists, trying to do everything they can to get people to be better to each other.
I don't feel like that's gotten very far for League.
It has improved it.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's definitely, they can show data that it improved remarkably. Mm-hmm. But that's to show you how hard the problem is to actually solve.
Well, that just must wear on the people at the company. When you have toxic players going at each other, they inevitably also turn their fire on the company when they don't like what the company's doing.
Yep.
So that's just psychically a hard thing to deal with, I think.
Yeah. And being in there, it's really hard to deal with being on the front line of forums and stuff, people talking about your games and company and things like that. So
yeah, imagine what kind of therapy a community manager needs to have at this point.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if there's anyone who curates YouTube comments. Probably not, considering how shitty they are.
You don't read the YouTube comments. I know that. No. You're no, don't go in there.
Right.
The most I've really seen from community management is they'll delve into Reddit.
Yeah, right.
But usually I've seen a lot of that work out decently well if the people know that the company is looking at Reddit.
Right.
At least a percentage of them will self-censor or at least think about how they're going to present their arguments without just straight up bringing on death threats. But
yeah, something like the Destiny subreddit, I think is just super negative.
Yeah.
But I don't think they get to that level.
Negativity is one thing, and that's just hard. And that's, unfortunately, I feel like that's what community management's about. You get a lot of vocal gamers together, they're going to be typically nitpick to death your game. Always.
Yep.
That's, they may love it. They love it. Honestly, that subreddit, those people probably love the game to death, honestly.
I think that's why they're so passionate about it.
They're playing, and they're just very, very passionate, and they really aren't good about presenting their arguments in a nice way.
Right. Well, not everyone's too social.
Yeah, not everyone's social, and honestly, not everyone's ever been shown how the best way to give feedback and criticism.
Right.
It's one thing coming up in PodCap. It was something that we learned and were shown, this is how you give feedback. You can be blunt and you can be to the specifics of it, but you need to approach it in a very specific way to set the tone, set expectations. Don't feel like you're personally attacking, going through piece by piece. And then you have to also be taught how to take criticism.
Yeah, which is often harder.
It is harder. It's a give and take, but I don't expect the average person to have ever learned that.
No, it's a very specific skill set that you learn in a very specific job. Like my job is assessing teachers and being assessed by myself, and I'm constantly doing this. And it's something I had to learn over the years, how to do it in a way that so who I was listening to I was listening to the Game Informer podcast. It was Mark Laidlaw. Yeah. Which he's at the end of that podcast. You probably should listen to that. It was a pretty good interview. But he was talking about as a role at BioWare giving feedback. As a leader, when you're giving bad feedback, you have to give feedback in a way that, is honest and true, but also gives some sort of hope that there's a way to change it and improve. And that's something that not a lot of people do.
Criticism in as of itself, just saying something, I don't like this, or that's a problem, without giving a solution, is a pretty crappy way to give criticism. It shuts down the conversation, and it shows it's like, and you want to keep it as a conversation of like, hey, this is a problem. Have you thought of things like this? Oh, you have? Well, what's your reasoning why you don't want to do something like that? Okay. Right. Like, you keep the criticism coming as a discussion, not as a like, this is law, that's terrible. I don't care what you thought about or why it's there.
Right, especially in my domain, like if you came across in that way, it would be like, well, the whole point of this is to improve ourselves, to become better teachers. Like if you're shutting it down right now, then you don't care about me becoming better, and that's just a terrible leader.
It is. So that's the part where I'm like, maybe we can teach that more to people. That'd be great.
Maybe teach it to some people in government as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. Sigh. Teenagers are though. Totally teenagers are.
Those kids, man. Those kids are just truly amazing.
Why would you? Oh God, I love their Twitter comments back to these politicians and lobbyists and whoever that are just like, you're like, why would you try to troll a teenager? A teenager now who's grown up with the internet. You're just gonna get destroyed.
Yep. Well, did you read that thing? Just I know we're a little off topic, but one of the reasons why Manafort's going to get nailed to the wall is because he can't convert a PDF to a Word document and back. Yep. Just fuck me, man.
He loves the stupid paper trail. Morons. They are morons.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the punishment. I'll just leave it at that.
Got to get there
back
first.
To video game. Yeah. Well, slow but surely, I think.
Yes.
You just have to be patient. Phil Spencer. So I want to go back and listen to the whole thing because I feel like there's a ton of comments that came out of it that's worthwhile to hear, and it just makes me excited to see what they're going to do for E3 because I think I know they know that they got to bring the games now. So I'm curious what those games are going to be.
Yep, like I said, right the ship, get people excited for the platform again, and then start showing. I mean, so Scorpio came out how many years after the Xbox One?
Xbox One came out in 2013. In the 13, right?
Something like that. Same year as the PS4.
Yeah, I think that was 13 because I picked it up in 14 and I didn't pick it up at launch.
So what? We had like 4 years to the Scorpio. So I bet they have another 4 until the next whatever.
Right.
So I think set it up now to right the ship. And honestly, the time it takes to make games, 3 or 4 years, they start going in. This is like when we talked about them buying other companies. They start setting themselves up for the next console generation.
Right.
Like they're like, guess what? We're going to start making the game because you have to start making them now for what's going to be your launch games for the Xbox One 2.
Yeah. What are they going to name?
I don't know. That was a stupid decision to begin with. Let's just.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yes, it abbreviates to Xbox, whatever.
I know it's
lost on everyone, honestly, except the marketing people who want to like pat themselves on the back for being so creative.
Well, same thing with Wii U. Like terrible name, Wii U. Xbox One, terrible name. Only one that's a good name is just PS4. Like is not clever. It's just the next iteration.
Nope, they're just like it's the next iteration. And guess what? Most people just refer to it as a PlayStation still.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I only ever say PS4, but
yeah, I see it interchanged. Like people still just call it PlayStation platform. Like it doesn't matter the iteration. You just know if it's Sony, it's a PlayStation.
Yeah,
done.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I'm excited for E3 for Microsoft. They can show some good stuff, get people talking about them again, get some competition going, set up the next couple of years of the console cycle to have good competition, lots of good games. Not that we need more good games, but I'm not going to say no.
I don't need another new game. I don't need another new game for the rest of my life, and I can play what I have now and be fine. And that's why I said I'm not going to buy games until the end of the year, which I actually finally did buy a game 2 days ago. My Humble Bundle subscription, I forgot to pause it for this one, which is fine because it was Dark Souls 3, which I've been wanting to get for a while. So that was $12 with the DLC, and then whatever else is going to come. So it's a pretty good deal, but it wasn't quite intentional.
It was also only $12, so
yeah, exactly. So it wasn't too bad. So I'm getting quite a few games for $12, but it definitely, didn't exactly mean to, but I'm not exactly unhappy. So
there you go. Happy mistake. Yeah. Happy mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Happy mistake. So that's the DICE Awards and the keynote, and I guess next is GTC. That's the next big thing coming up.
I mean, I'll look at what's going to come out of there. I mean, that will be in 3 weeks, I think. Something like that.
Pretty soon.
It's mid-March. Mm-hmm. I'll take a look. Usually there's only a lot of tech stuff comes out of it, not a lot of straight game things, but you never know. So.
Yep, we could have some really interesting news, or we could have absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But something we could talk about now is our trek through Chrono Trigger. This is our third week of discussing it, and this is our third chunk of time kind of plowing through it. So
I think we both went a little longer. I think we both went about 3 hours this time instead of 2.
Yeah, if I were smarter about it, I probably would have done 2 hours. I just, tell us what you did, and then I'll tell you what I did and explain what I mean.
So where we ended last time is we were at the end of time and all the portals, and where did it send us? It sent us back to 100 AD, present day for the game, and we had to, but it sent us into Medina,
right?
The Fiend Village. And at first, I'm very confused. Even a decade later of playing this game, I'm still very confused when I came out. I was like, what is this?
I was like, where and when am I?
Yeah.
Is this where Chrono came from and now there's monsters here?
Exactly.
Or what's happening here?
And I think that's intentional. And then through a series of things, you go through a tunnel and you do end up back in your hometown across the ocean, basically. So, and you've now learned a little bit of lore of the world. That 400 years ago, coincidentally in 600 AD, one of the times you can travel to, there was a big fight and war, and the fiends lost, and they got exiled to this other continent. So, that's a thing. So, you see, we did that. I think this is where we diverge.
Yes.
So, I go back, I did the stuff in modern day, nothing huge, just talk to people, check in. That's all you're supposed to do. Check in with your mom. Check in with the residents. The fair is still going on. And then I went back to End of Time, and I went to 600 AD and started going through there and learning that the champion has gone missing. The fiends are attacking. Magus is controlling the fiends, this like overlord kind of person. And so I start exploring 600 AD, and I get past the bridge. That you can't, the soldiers aren't going to fight because they need rations. So you get rations for them. You go across the bridge, and now you're down into there's 2 other cities, down in the south, and you meet Frog again. And this is all part of Frog's kind of story. So do that, get some ancient sword parts, a hilt and a blade. You need to reforge it. It has a name on it that you're like, oh, that was the name of a person over by the monster village. Let me go back there and talk to them. It's like, oh, I need this rare mineral that just doesn't exist anymore. It was only from the past. And then that's when I go back to 65 million BC.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went through 65 million BC. I did a bunch of stuff there, got this ore, and then I ended by going back to 600 AD and reforging. Oh, present time, reforge the sword, go back to 600 AD, and give the sword to Frog.
You did that and all that in 3 hours?
Yeah.
You are efficient, man. I feel like I spent like an hour and a half in 65 million BC, which is where I went after going through the fair. And I was just lost. I was just wandering around.
So what happened in 65 million BC for you? Since you didn't go to the past, you get there. Do you meet Ayla? Or does that still happen?
No. They're just... Yeah, so there's... as far as I know, no. Because that sets you on like a specific quest, right?
I guess so. I mean, I guess it's all part of this getting this rock.
Yeah, so that didn't happen. So when I went back there, I just talked to a bunch of different cavemen or whatever. And they had a bunch of different things to tell me about the reptiles, and if I'm a fiend or a friend of the reptile, or talking about the pterodactyls and their nests or whatever. And it was it seemed like a bunch of innocuous conversation that didn't really lead anywhere. Just kind of like a lot of small talk. So then I just wandered around the map and went up to this pterodactyl nest and fought through just a ton of enemies and leveled up a lot. But when I got to the end, there was nothing there. So I Googled it, and I was like, oh yeah, if you go there before you do all these other things, there's nothing there. Like, fuck. But all I found was a set of armor that was pretty nice. And they're like, yeah, that's all that you can do. So I decided to go back. So I went back to the Mystic Mountains, went back into the portal, and then went to 600 AD. So I wandered around, got to the bridge, and was just super confused. Like, you want rations? I don't have rations. I think probably I need to go to the castle and go to the kitchens. So I went to the castle and talked to the king, talked to everyone, couldn't figure out where to go. They're all talking about the hero and the badge and whatever else. So I came right at the entrance. I went to the left, which you go down to the infirmary, basically. And I was like, oh, I thought this is where the kitchen was. Okay, so then I left the castle and went back to the bridge again. That's when I texted you and said, what am I doing wrong? And then when you said the rations thing, I was like, okay, so there is a kitchen. I must have gone to the wrong side. So I went back inside. It went to the right, exactly, went down. And when I went down there, talking to them, trying to get rations, and I just kept talking to them over and over again, hoping that the conversation would change. And I was like, okay, so obviously I'm doing something wrong. So then I'm going to leave, go back down the bridge. And when I left the room, then the cook came out and gave me the stuff. And I was like, I needed to... I felt like I was trying to like rush it because I felt like I was behind and I wanted to get as much done before the podcast tonight. So I was not paying attention to the smaller clues. And then... I was in the kitchen for like 10 minutes talking to everyone over and over and sitting there at different places looking around. Finally, I got exasperated and left.
And then you left, and then it gave you what you wanted.
Exactly. I was like, okay, so I should just calm down a little bit.
I think this is where I was like, where I was a decade ago when playing. Like, just fumbling around and like, and now I don't necessarily fumble. Like, I have general ideas still. I'm like, okay, I should do this or that. I have weird memories of certain things. There's definitely parts that I completely missed. Like this time in 65 million BC, I actually like got a bunch of armor I hadn't got before. I remember ever getting. There's definitely points where I'm like, oh, I don't remember exactly doing some of this stuff.
Yeah, I think fumbling is how I feel like this playthrough went, as opposed to the first two. And that's fine, because that's part of the joy of the discovery. But I just felt like I was kind of on a clock and I wanted to get through as much as possible before tonight. So I went across the bridge, beat, Ozzy's little troops or whatever. And then he brings up that skeleton thing, basically. Beat that, no problem. Because I had leveled up so much.
Yeah, you're probably so over-leveled at the moment.
Exactly. And I guess the party member that's not with you doesn't level up along with you.
No.
That sucks.
So you got to cycle characters out. Yep. Welcome to old school JRPGs.
Yeah, so I'll need to bring Robo back in because I'm using the original 3. And then I went down to the villages down below, and there's some guy in the elder's hut who went to the bar, and I talked to him, and he talked about like this frog, which I know it's frog basically.
Yeah.
So I'm at the point where I need to go find him now, but I'm down there looking around right now.
Yeah.
So I guess where is he? Like in the mountain or something like that? Or
in a forest.
In the forest. Okay. But there's probably another boss battle before I get to him, I think.
No, you don't have
no?
I don't think so. Not when you talk to him.
Oh, okay.
It's just a little bit tricky finding him specifically.
That makes sense.
Whenever you go into the forest, I'll just say that there'll be a thing out of place on that map. It's a pretty straightforward map, and you'll get to the end and be like, this is weird. And there's not even a trick. It's just like, there's something out of place, and you need to like walk by it, basically.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
And you're like, oh, there's Frog. Okay.
there's stuff back in like 65 million BC. Like there's like a forest maze or a garden maze or something like that. And when it's just like one map square basically. And I'm like, where do I walk? There's nowhere to go. It just seems like everything's blocked, but there must be some way.
Once you have the quest that would take you through there, you can follow certain clues to get through the maze.
Well, and that's what I felt like was happening when I went there. I thought you could kind of go anywhere in any order, but not really.
I actually thought you could too. I thought you would go, if you went to 65, you would actually get some of that quest. Like I thought you could get the rock and everything without ever having to talk to the frog, and you could just already have it.
Right. Not that I saw. I didn't talk to anyone who.
I guess that's maybe just more my thought on modern game design. Right. There might still just be a linear path that you need to follow in the game.
And that's kind of a little frustrating thing. Like if there is a linear path you need to follow, but it's more open, then that's a little frustrating.
It is frustrating. I would understand that.
But it's still fun. I love the combat still. I'm just cleaning up right now. And I'm learning new skills, I guess, new techs.
The techs are awesome. Like I have so many. Once you have new characters too, and you start learning just tons of different techs, it's so good.
And in 600 AD, I found someone named Fiona. Like I remember last week I was saying, isn't there someone named Fiona? Like there's some woman in a house who's waiting for her husband who's named Fiona.
Just not a party member.
I don't think she's a party member, but she was there. I was like, oh, okay. I don't remember why I would know that person, but because I've never been this far in the game. But no, it's still, I think I hit a little bit of the, 1990s JRPG frustration. When you don't know exactly what you're doing. Like same thing I hit with Final Fantasy VII. I'm like, I'm at this place with a chocobo and I'm supposed to like go across the sand and get past this big snake worm, but I just can't figure out what to do. And it's just like so obtuse. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I just leave my feeling like a moron. Like there's something I'm missing. Like when you just said what the guard said to me. I was like, okay, so that means that what he said is important. He's not just, this isn't just some random conversation, which makes me think back in 65 million BC, maybe I missed something that I thought was just some innocuous piece of conversation, but was actually like someone telling me to go do something.
I mean, very well, they could have tried. There might have been stuff there saying like, hey, go, that you shouldn't be here right now, or there's nothing to do right now. Right. Like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
I mean, it was hard at the beginning because they were really strong enemies, but by the end, I figured them out. So yeah, over level. Got to get Robo back in there and level him up, but I'm looking forward to getting where you are, which is going to be interesting because by doing it by time, like 2 or 3 hours or whatever, like because you're more efficient, you'll get further than me, which is fine.
Actually, right now, I'm going to just, you text me whenever you get roughly to where I am.
Okay, that's a good idea.
I won't go ahead further at the moment.
So then you have more time to play Monster Hunter World.
Exactly.
So tell us about that.
Oh my god, this game. I love it. I love it so much.
What do you love, just the grind? Like, is it because it scratches that itch or what?
The grind? Okay, so first, yes, it is grind. I like the grind. The upgrades that I get always feel worthwhile. I watched a video that was comparing like what Monster Hunter, it was a GameSpot video that was like what Monster Hunter World gets right and Destiny 2 gets wrong.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
It's an amazing video, and it perfectly matches how I feel while playing Monster Hunter, and the fact that I have so much agency about what I want to upgrade and how I want to do it. Like it's still a grind, but I know how to get the stuff I need to upgrade. It's a little bit of chance, but I know if I go out and hunt this specific monster, it will give me the parts I need if I just focus on that thing. And the grinding, like killing a monster, 15 minutes, 20 maybe, shorter, depending if it's an easier monster. Like, so the grind isn't long, and the fights of the monsters are actually fun.
Even if you fought the same monster several times?
Yep.
Well, okay.
I'm just having a blast. I think there's just a lot of pieces that click together in it, and beyond the fact there's just so much to prioritize what you want to focus on.
Yeah.
Like there's the armors, there's all the weapons. I'm focused on a thing called an insect glaive right now. Oh yeah. It's like the main one. I love that weapon.
That's the one that I played in the beta.
It's all aerial. Oh, it's so good once you are good at it. I wouldn't even say I'm like especially good at it, but I understand how to play it.
Right.
With the kinsect that you shoot out, and it gets extracts and stuff. Once I have my like red attack extract up and running, I just stay in the air for tons of the fight, like just back and forth across the back of a monster, and then finishing move, usually mounting it because I've work towards armors that give me skills that make me better, do more damage when I'm doing airborne attacks, and make me better at mounting monsters and do more damage while mounting monsters.
I guess that's what you're talking about, where you can choose that strategy and then upgrade toward it. Like you decide. That's awesome. That's open enough for you to do that.
Agency. Like, and beyond, if you take away from the weapons, you have your palicos, your little cats to. You have stuff for them to upgrade. You have the canteen to upgrade. They give better food buffs for you when you go in. Like, there's tons of stuff to do there. Like, I'm now in high rank, which means I'm hunter rank 11. So I've done the main first part of the story. I would say the first act. I mean, it's a pretty standard story. And it spits you out in high rank now. And so you're starting to go up against monsters you fought before, but they're tougher. And not just more hit points. I don't even know if they have necessarily more hit points. Their attacks are just different and stronger and faster. So it's a tougher challenge, but you now have a ton more armor sets to go after. And I then looked at my optional quest because I kind of speed ran to high rank to play with friends. I have so many optional quests to go do that upgrade different parts of my my town, so that I can just do more stuff in town and get better upgrades and boosts in town.
And you're still playing with your party, your friends, or do you do it mostly solo?
A mix, actually. So like today, this morning, and yesterday morning, I played mostly solo, doing these low-level optional quests, or just specifically grinding out specific monsters that I wanted certain parts off of, so I could be ready to. So if I play tonight, I'll play with my friends, and it'll be 3 or 4 of us, and we'll go out and do the next, like, I think we're all roughly around the same story quest, which is bigger high rank monsters, harder stuff. So it has the feel of an MMO, but without a lot of the bullshit around of an MMO.
That sounds pretty rad.
I mean, there's still grinding and everything, but a quest will never take more than 50 minutes because you'll fail. Everything has at longest a hard 50-minute time limit.
Is there like a narrative reason for that, or is it just the game designers coming?
Game designers just saying, nope, it's just a hard, like, you have to stop. And really, most of the time, most fights that I do, if you're prepared enough for them, like you have your gears at the right level, at least, you'll finish most quests in 20 to 30 minutes. And if you're over-leveled, you'll finish it in 15 or less.
It sounds nice to have an MMO-like experience that has a time limit. So it's like you're, some of those raids in WoW or definitely in Destiny, it's like you have no idea. It could take forever.
Yeah, and this game, I love this game. It's really so good.
I'm glad your friends were able to hook you into that game and gift that to you.
And the highs are just so high. Like when talking about the insect glaive, a lot of the combat is somewhat hard, like Bloodborne-y and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't find it as difficult. There's just less combos going on. But when you land big hits, it feels so good. Like, really, really like, holy shit, I just did that. I just flew through the air 6 times across this monster and then came down right on its head.
It's awesome.
It looks amazing and it feels really good. So,
yeah, it's definitely one that my friend here and I want to jump in when it's on PC. So the more you talk about it, the more I think it's probably a game that I could play with him. Even though I do a lot of solo stuff, we could still hook up and do some things together. So
yes,
that's great.
So what have you been playing?
Well, obviously Chrono Trigger, and then 2 other games. One, Hearthstone. I'm
nice.
Back into that pretty hard. Just doing dungeon runs and I love the catacombs and kobolds or whatever.
Yeah.
Dungeon runs because it just gives you a bunch of rad cards, and just new challenges. And it's just, like you basically said, using it as a way to level up my characters that I hadn't really played before.
Yep.
And it's just fun, like a single player card dungeon run experience. It's just really a lot more engaging than I thought it would be, and mainly because they're giving you some awesome cards. You know, it's changed the way that I play because typically I play with the cards that I have unless I'm doing like a tavern brawl or something like that. So it just changes the experience, and it's been a lot of fun. I've probably played 15 runs.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been pretty fun on my phone, but then I was playing on my computer as well. So a mix of both. And then the other one, my wife went out to a book club and put my daughter to bed, and I was alone. And I decided I was going to crack open a couple beers and turn on Assassin's Creed Origins, which I have to tell you was a really awesome night. It was so fun. It was just relaxing. Like I could just like sink into that game. So what I did was I did the discovery mode first. Did a couple of tours. I don't know if you've heard about it, I think.
I've heard about it. I haven't seen how it's presented. Yeah,
so basically it starts off you're Aya, and then you are in Alexandria, and there's like a yellow line going through Alexandria that you follow to go to like 6 different stations, and each station it has like a voiceover. You're looking at something in the city, and then you can press a button to see more like historical artifacts and things like that Ubisoft basically photographed for research and things like that. Once you do the first one, then it opens up and you're able to choose any of like 47 avatars that you want to. There's like Julius Caesar or like characters from the game or Cleopatra, historical characters and things like that. And there are tours all over ancient Egypt. Like there are, if I had to estimate, like 100 tours maybe. And they range from like 3 minutes to 20 minutes. And they're all narrative. Their voice, there's VO. There's artifacts to look at. It's just, it takes the combat out, and it's just like this, it's this living museum. They have the tech, they have all the research, so might as well just do this. And I find myself wishing they did it for other Assassin's Creed, like go back to Brotherhood and do this, or go back to is that what 2 is called? Brotherhood? No, Brotherhood was
the sequel to 2.
That's it, yeah. But even Syndicate or whatever, you know.
Oh, that sounds really cool, actually.
Super fun. And after that, I just went in and I played Assassin's Creed for about an hour and a half. And I decided, I get stuck doing side missions, and I realized I'd played 18 hours of this game and probably completed less than 20% of the story. So I went back and did another story mission. And to be honest, where that story mission ended was just like a huge shock, like where they took the story. I was surprised at the twist, and I was just like super into the story. Like, this is a fun game, and I heard the story wasn't that great, but I'm really into the story now after this really weird twist that I didn't see coming. So nice. It's beautiful, it's fun, it's a great game. So
yeah, I need to play Syndicate, and I need to play Origins, and I will get there. I really will. When I'm not doing Monster Hunter right now.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about it earlier today, like Syndicate and Origins almost seem like games from 2 different franchises.
That's there's crazy.
Obviously some narrative threads in terms of like climbing things. Even that's changed on Origins, but you are able to assassinate eventually in Origins. There are things that are the same, obviously, but they really redid the game, and it's better. It is like 100 times better than Syndicate, and I really liked Syndicate. Origins is just there's a reason why it made my top 5 last year, even though I hadn't finished it. It's just cool. Great. And
that was the news. They said that they're not doing another one this year.
Exactly, and they said
focusing on Origins.
Yeah, and we're gonna be surprised about what they do with it. And they've already released a couple of DLC packs, which the new one's coming out pretty soon. It's basically you're fighting like pharaohs, and wow, it looks fantastic. And I'm thinking they're probably going to do a Witcher 3 thing where they're going to have like a really big expansion. Like these DLCs are meaty, but they're going to have like a real big expansion. Yeah. And this is a game that could be a platform like for years. Like you have to get it. It's
that seems like a better solution now.
Yeah.
To just where the market is, like they can spend years focusing on the next Assassin's Creed, while nurturing this one, and really it's games as a service. Like that's kind of what people expect now. So
and think about how much they've put into Siege since it came out in 2015.
Yep,
that's still going strong. And if they did that to Origins, where it was 3 or 4 years of building content in this game, and not even like a Assassin's Creed 2 Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Whatever the third sequel was.
Revelations.
But less about like a full new game, but like small media expansions, like just continue to build out the world using the same engine, same characters, same like meta story. It's just, I could play this game for the rest of the year and not even finish it. It's so good. It is so good. Yeah. And it's a lot better when you're a little buzzed. It was really just so relaxing. Yeah, but that's all I've been playing this week.
Nice.
Other than doing some light role playing with a friend of ours, and it's been a good week. Real good week. I got some good news from work too that I told you about privately, and it's this is the week I find out for sure. So this is a good.
That's
week.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, anything else?
I think
on
that's
our topics today. Yeah. Okay. Well, then that was episode 128 of Prof and Dev Play Games. I'm the professor at Twitter. No. At
Twitter.
Nope. God damn it. That's you. At Prof Plays Games on Twitter. You're at Summerspeak. We are on Spotify. We are on lots of podcast services around the globe.
Yep.
Please leave us a rating. It's really helping. We're seeing our numbers jump, which is nice to have people listening to us. And this is all free. We just do it because we love it. We have Anthony obviously has a really nuanced perspective on the games industry.
Because we both play games and I make them. So
exactly right. So you bring the gravitas to the podcast, and I just I like playing games and talking about them. I guess next week we'll be talking about some Nintendo news. I'm sure something's going to happen. I'm going to say that every week until something big happens.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being with me tonight, and thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Later, everyone.
All right. See ya, folks.